Hey friends, my name is Lisa. If we haven't met, if we have, welcome back to my pottery studio. I am glad you're here today. I am getting very antsy to get some pieces glazed and fired. I've got all of this bisqueware behind me that's been sitting here for a while as I've been remodeling my whole pottery studio, but I am finally at the point I think I am ready to get some things fired. But before I do that, I promised myself before I fired my kiln I would get the tile put up behind it. I think I have all the stuff I need to do that today, so that's what I'm going to work on first. After that, I'm going to start making a plan for how I want to glaze all of these pieces and get some of that started. And as I'm glazing, we'll just chat a little bit about where I'm at, what's been going on kind of behind the scenes, things that you guys haven't seen that I'm trying to make progress towards in 2025. So I think it's going to be a pretty fun video. I hope you enjoy and stick around, and let's get started. A quick note, and before we get into things, this t-shirt that I've been very proud of, you've seen probably in some previous videos, I designed this melting cones t-shirt, and I finally have them available in a way that you guys can order and purchase one for yourselves if you want to. So I'm going to share more information about that, but if the rest of the video doesn't sound interesting to you, but you're curious about getting a t-shirt, there's a link below to my new website that I just set up. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can go to that link and purchase a t-shirt if you're interested. Okay, so my experience tiling is pretty minimal, but I don't think that this is going to be a terribly difficult project. The way I'm kind of laying it out, I think I just have this one outlet that I need to figure out. But I'm going to pull my kiln out of the way a little bit. No, it's heavy. Ugh. Okay, that should be enough. Something I do know from experience in tiling is that you need a level ridge for your first row of tiles to sit on, because otherwise what I've had happen before in the past is the tile would like kind of start to slump down. And if there wasn't something to catch it that was level, then you would have like this, you know, not a flat level line. And aesthetically it becomes noticeable. So I'm using this little piece of 3/4 inch like trim, and you know, I'm just gonna get, I made my mom a promise that I would put Hardy Becker behind the tile just to be extra safe. So I blame her for this level of additional work right now. 20 1/4 to about 22 3/4. 20 1/4, 22 3/4. Feeling like a real smarty pants right now because I realized I'm going to tile on this Hardy Becker. I can actually use it to help lay out my tile, so I don't have to cut any more than I have to. So I can kind of lay these out and place this outlet kind of where I want it so that it's just easier. Okay friends, I got pretty good progress today. I got as far as I can go. I'm actually going to need to go get a tile cutter or a tile saw because the length of these is just a little bit, well, a couple inches taller than my backer board, and I just don't think, I mean, I could kind of do it, but I don't think it makes sense, and I don't want to get more of the Hardy Becker to go just behind that strip. So I'm going to wait until I can cut these. So hopefully I'll get over to the hardware store this afternoon, but I'm just gonna leave it where it is for now and clean up, and we will come back at it later. All right, we are back at it today, friends. I ran to the Home Depot and picked up a very budget-friendly tile cutter, or tile saw, wet saw for cutting tile. I have exactly the number of tiles left that I need to finish this project. And that makes me a little nervous right now. It's not that I can't buy more tile, it's that it's like a 30-minute drive over to where I bought the tile originally, and I don't have time for that today. So cross your fingers. I'll be honest, this might be the cutest little saw I've ever seen. probably, yeah, probably wear an apron. Well, I have been procrastinating something terrible lately. So I got the tile work done on the kiln surround, and then I thought I'd get some more glazing last weekend, but I just didn't. And all week went by and I thought I'll come down and glaze and it'll be great. And I did not. After work, I was just spent and I didn't have it in me. So finally back to a weekend again. I'm back in the studio and I have laid out all of my bisqueware. So everything is in kind of a different stage, but I want to make progress on all of it. So over here, I've got stuff that's ready to glaze, already been waxed and everything. I've got a few pieces in the middle that have been sanded and washed, but not waxed yet. And then all the stuff over here actually needs to be sanded and rinsed off. So I think I will start off with sanding and rinsing, and then these can start drying. I won't be able to do anything with them today, but the next time I'm down here, these will be ready to go to the next step. Okay, so what I usually do when stuff comes out of the bisque kiln, I have a stockpile of just kind of random sandpaper that I don't really like for woodworking, but it's perfectly good for this. So this is 100 grit. You might play with what works for you. 80 grit's a little bit coarser, so you might have a little bit more sanding marks on the bottom of your bisque, which you might want. If you go up to like 200 grit or 240 or whatever it is, you might get a little bit smoother result. But I fill up a bucket of water so it's wet, and then I see kind of wherever I've done like these little pinholes for these little salt and pepper shakers, they kind of have a little roughness to them that I want to take off. And then this had some bubbles on it from the slip, so I'll just come in and kind of, you know, I'm not too precise about it, but, and then I just completely rinse it off so there's no dust and set them over here to dry. Just look at anywhere that I've got maybe some, particularly on the bottom, I usually have like little trimming, I don't know, little like trimming pieces that kind of end up sticking to the bottom. Keep it wet. When you see like dust starting, you just get it wet again. For that, I also like on mugs or anything like where it's going to touch your lips, I want to make sure that I get that nice and smooth over. I'm not too crazy about it, but I just like to find anywhere that there's just a little bit of, you know, just spots that you can kind of, and then like on the inside of this handle, you can see it kind of cracked a little bit. I don't know if you can tell on the camera there, but in that lower portion there. So I'm going to try and get in here and just clean that up a little bit. And that's just going to help me make sure like when the glaze gets in there, it doesn't flow too funny over it, you know, and make it look weird potentially. I don't like that handle cracked there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then I just give it a really good rinse and let it dry. Another thing I'm doing in this process, I'm always looking to inspect at this stage if there's any cracks. And I noticed this guy has, if you can see, just a hairline crack in the bottom. And you can barely see it on the outside as well. So I'm not even going to bother doing anything with this because even though I glaze it, it's still not going to be a very good mug. I don't trust glaze to fill cracks, essentially. I think that I'd rather just toss this away than give it to someone and worry about it leaking on them. After grabbing an energy drink and some chapstick, I am ready for the next step. So the pieces that I just washed or sanded and rinsed off are sitting over here. They're gonna dry. I will let them dry at least 24 hours before I try to put glaze on them. The reason you do that is because if your bisqueware has a lot of water in it or moisture in it, when you dip it in a glaze or brush a glaze on, it doesn't have the ability to absorb more water because it's already pretty saturated. So it's harder to get a good application of your glaze on that bisqueware. So let it dry. You can actually use that trick to your advantage too sometimes. Like if you have a glaze that typically goes on too thick and runs, you can maybe dip it in water first and then you don't get as much glaze applied. But I don't typically do that. I try to stay very consistent about how my glazes are formulated and how it's not always perfect, but I prefer to have a little bit more confidence than taking those kinds of risks. So I just don't even think about them. I might start wondering, what designs and what glazes I want to put on those pieces, but I will just let them dry for now. So the next step in the process is to wax the bottoms. I also wax the rims of my pots a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time. And so I'm gonna get set up to do that now. I have a roll of this, I don't know, it's not construction paper, but I guess newsprint. That is very convenient because when you're waxing, it can tend to get everywhere and get on other pieces and it's harder to clean up. So I just like to put a piece of paper down to save me a little time in the end. Clean up. Okay. I'm actually gonna set up over here because it's kind of nice to be able to sit down. Just find all my pieces that you need to be waxed. You need to be waxed. I just use these foam brushes from the hardware store. They work really well for me. So this is kind of an unexciting pot, maybe a little planter. I think I'll actually glaze the rim first. If you've seen some of my other videos, I often glaze the rims because I do two different colors. I do a different color on the inside than I do on the outside, and that gives me a nice clean line between them. I'm going to use this new wax that I got from Penguin Pottery. So I just do a thin edge on the rim. And I'll do, if I have a lot of pieces like this or mugs that need the rims done, I do all the rims at the same time. So I have this fun chalice. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet, but at one point in time, I made a bunch of trophies for a cycling event. And this was one of the trophies. And so I threw extra because, just in case, but I ended up having this left over. So I'll find something fun to do with it. So this is a French butter dish, or butter bell, however you want to refer to it. These are kind of fun to make. They're a fun project to challenge yourself if you want to. I made one because I want one, and because I made one, I made two. But the way that I've glazed these in the past, I will wax this rim on the inside portion. So your butter goes in here, and then you put water in the bottom, and then you put it together like that. But I'll wax this bottom piece and then probably dip the whole lid container part in a glaze, and then I just fire it like that. And that way it doesn't stick to the kiln shelf. And I don't know, I've never had an issue with that rim unglazed, or nobody's ever told me that there's an issue with that being unglazed, so. And also then if I did want to do like a clear glaze on the inside where the butter goes, I have that nice line keeping them separate. Do the other one. Let's move this over here. This wax goes on really smooth. I'm a fan. You can't see it, so that's I often use this Amico green wax, and it works rather lovely as well. This is definitely smoother. The hard thing is you just can't really see it as well because it's very clear. I'm trying to decide now if I want to glaze this all one color. I think I do. I think I want to do like a clear on the inside and a color on the outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rim for the bottom of the butter bell as well. And then I'll need to glaze the bottom of this piece too. Not glaze, wax, sorry. I'll need to wax the bottom of this one as well. Just tell it's there because it's glossy, so. All right, I've done all the rims. Now this is a salt pig. I made this forever ago, oh my goodness. This is gonna be a little bit tricky one. You know what I might do? I'm gonna grab a chuck. Okay. If you're just getting started, I would advise making yourself some chucks. So this is just, I don't know, extra clay I had. Threw it, it's got a hole in the bottom, but it gives me a more solid foundation for if you're decorating or applying wax at the bottom of a salt pig, trimming. If you don't have a Giffen grip, you can use these chucks like this to trim bottles and stuff. Very, very convenient to have. And you only need to make them once and they last forever. I have like 3 different sizes that I threw forever and a day ago. And I will just set you to dry like that. Okay, so now I'm looking to see, are all the wax on all the rims dry? Ooh, this wax is great. It's already dry, so it's not gonna stick to my banding wheel. I also have a stockpile of stencils that I've already cut. Like I've got another bear, I've got another elk, I've got 2 bears. I'm kind of digging the bear. I might do another small bear. I have this monarch stencil that I don't think I've ever actually put it on a pot yet. I'm excited for that, maybe to try. I've got to do another dragonfly mug. Let's see. So I kind of look at the size of the mug and the size of the stencil that I have and see, you know, that might be, I like that this is, because this is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go with that on the bigger piece. And I know this already has a color in it, and I have a sticky note in there telling me what glaze is on the inside already. And it's a beautiful glaze to do with a dragonfly. So I also have some stencils that I don't necessarily do the stained glass technique with, but I just use them as like a resist and then have like an image. So here's a very cool elk, and he's not huge. You can't actually see it because it's not weeded yet, but anyway, so this is kind of what they look like. I have elk, I have a llama, a moose, donkey, a bear and a baby bear, a deer and a squirrel. I don't know, they're just kind of fun animals. And then I've got a few different patterns and flowers. I already know I want to do a succulent on one of the butter dishes. But yeah, so this is kind of my process. So I'm going to decide if I want an image on these. And then if I do, I'll have it with it. And then I'll decide what inside glaze color I want. That would be the next step. So after I've kind of decided what images I want on each piece, if I want an image on the piece, then I start thinking about, all right, so this mug, I've decided I want to do a bear. You can kind of see. So I want to do a bear on this mug. Then I start thinking about, all right, well, if I do that, what colors do I want this bear to be? And then I look at all of my glaze test pieces and kind of go, okay, well, I want to do a brown bear. And I think I want to do a combination of like a brown and a light brown in this kind of stained glass effect. And then I think about, all right, if I do that, I'll probably do a white background on the front. Then I think about what color do I want inside. And I also have to think about what color do I have that I have enough to pour in and dump out to glaze the whole inside. So I know I have plenty of this Prospect Gray. And so I kind of look at that on the inside. I see the image. I kind of try to picture, all right, if the bear is these colors, will that look cool? I think it will. I'm just trying to kind of imagine it from here. So this is going to be my plan for this mug, and I will just kind of keep these things out to remind me. But I also know that on the inside of this guy, I want to use this gray. So I'm going to figure out all of my inside colors, and I will glaze the insides first, typically, and then do the decal on the outside and glaze the outside. So. Okay. So what I've done is I've made some decisions. There's a few pieces that I haven't really decided, like this guy, I haven't really decided what I want to do, if I want to do any design on him. So I'm just going to set those aside for now. Actually, these mugs too, I'm kind of still deliberating on. But for where I have made some decisions, what I've done is just grouped them together and put sticky notes about what inside glaze color I want to do. Now, like this guy, I'm just going to dip the whole thing in one glaze. But the other ones, I'm going to do a different color on the inside than I do on the outside. And I like to do the inside, glaze the inside before I do anything else, just because it has time to dry and absorb while I'm doing the decal and the designs on the outside. So I've kind of grouped them together so that as I have like my clear glaze, like all these are going to be clear glazes on the inside. So I have them all kind of grouped together. So I'm going to get out my clear glaze, and I know that all of these pieces need to use that same glaze. So I do them all at once while I have that glaze out. The only glaze that I actually have a large bucket of is clear. Actually, I take that back. I have 2 glazes that I batch a large amount of because I use enough of them to keep that on hand. And one is my clear glaze, which is a glaze I formulated so that it would not craze on my porcelain clay body. And I'm going to put this up on my website, which I haven't told you guys about yet. I'm excited about this. Come on, lid. Okay. Ugh. So this has sat for a little bit, and it needs to be really well mixed, and I need to test the specific gravity on it. Oh, I have so many things to share with you. Okay. So in a previous video, I showed you how I've been testing for specific gravity in glazes. And I just watched a video from Ceramic Materials Workshop that told me it was actually not the most accurate way to do it. And they recommended another approach. And so what that means for me is I need to kind of switch over. I want to switch over to using maybe a more accurate way of checking my glazes. I will link the video, or I'll try to link the video where I talk about specific gravity more, I would highly recommend search Ceramic Materials Workshop on YouTube and look at their video on specific gravity and viscosity, because it is well worth it to understand those concepts if you're having trouble with glazes. So anyway, the method that they use, or I guess they use a very precise method, but I looked into buying the thing for it and it was like 50 bucks. So I'm like, no way. But she said, Miss Rose Cat said that it's better to use a 100 milliliter syringe and weigh it on a scale and calculate the specific gravity amount versus using a hydrometer, which is what I've been doing like my entire pottery life. So thanks to Amazon, I picked up a 100 milliliter syringe. Ooh. What I'm gonna do is take the specific gravity measurement of this glaze like I normally would and get it to where I'd normally want it if I need to disperse it or anything, and make a note of that, and then get a reading using the milliliter weight method and write that down so that going forward, for at least for this glaze, I can just do the syringe. What I like about it too is I think it'll be less effort in the long run because the only thing I'll have to clean up is this. So I like that. Almost had a minor panic attack because I lost the power for my scale. But the good news is that it runs on battery. I didn't know that. So after a little research, we're back and running. So where was I? Okay. I got this to where I wanted it. I think I got 2 of these because, zero that out. And so 50 milliliters of this clear glaze weighs 82.21 grams. Double check with ChatGPT, but yeah, you measure the, okay, so I divide 82.21 divided by 50, 1.64. So I'm gonna write on this bucket with my blue tape that the syringe method is 1.64. And I'm gonna start using that going forward. So I guess, I mean, I don't know, because I marked it down as 1.55 using the hydrometer. So maybe that is a very inaccurate method. I don't know. When we know more, we do better, right? So for all my glazes over time, I'll have to get a baseline measurement with this method. I'm gonna leave the note on here about my old method. I don't know. We'll see if it actually leads to better glaze results. I'm not clear on why Rose says the hydrometer method isn't as accurate, because I feel like this is maybe it's just because like this is a lot more obvious to read. I don't know. I'm not sure. She didn't elaborate, but I trust her with all my heart. So if Rose says to use the syringe method, I'm gonna switch to using a syringe method. I do try really hard to like not let glaze day get too chaotic, but it feels a little chaotic, so let's wax. Now, usually when I pour, I don't always keep it from getting on the outside. And since I do want a different color outside, I'm going to take my sponge and clean that up like this. So you see I got a little glaze on the outside there. So again, now I've introduced moisture right here. So this one I'll wait till tomorrow to glaze the outside. But I'm going to keep my decal with it. Just the inside of this cup. Inside of my butter bill. Same thing on this one. I'll probably get glaze where I don't want it and I'll have to wipe it off. We'll see. I can go around and around, and then if I go really quick, oh, I don't shake it. I did it. I did it. So I'll still probably wait till tomorrow to glaze, just because I'm going to put a decal on and then I'm going to get tired. And I got a lot of things that I'm trying to move forward. All right, you are getting in my way. Just hang there for a minute. Okay. Now, I'm done with the clear, but what I want to do is put a sticky note in each thing that I just glazed, so that if I don't come back to it right away, I will forget what color's on the inside of these pots. And that drives me crazy. So I'm going to put just a little note in each one of what it is. Okay, so I'm going to clean up the clear glaze, get it put away, get ready to do the next interior glaze that I have. And the process is kind of the same, so I'm just going to like fast forward you through it. And then we will talk about putting on a decal. Okay, so the next thing that I'm working on is getting the stencils applied to my mugs, mostly mugs, and I might put a stencil on these butter dishes too. But so what I'm doing is just taking the sticker that I cut out and lining it up and putting it onto the mug itself, so that I can then put underglaze over it and have that outline, just like you see here. And so I kind of like to do everything in sort of like an assembly line. So for this step, for all the things that I'm going to put a decal on and do that stained glass design effect, I'm going to do this step all at once, and then I'll do the underglaze all at once on all the pieces. Again, I've got another video on this whole process, so I'm not going to go into it too much on this one, but you can go look for the dragonfly mug video and learn more about this technique if it's appealing to you. Something I wanted to share with you guys though, big exciting news. If you would like to get one of these cool melting cone t-shirts that I designed, that I'm overly proud of, I actually set up a website. Don't get too excited. There's not a lot on the website other than kind of this t-shirt. I'm hoping to add more, like some blogs and some other content that might be useful. But I learned how to set up a website. I've actually set up websites before. I set up a website in like 7th grade on Netscape, so if you want to know how old I am. But I set up a website, and then I learned about print on demand. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but it's helpful to know if you guys have your own studio and you have your own like merch or branded stuff that you want to also sell. The backstory is that I made this decal, I made this design, and I really loved it, and I printed it out on my Cricut and put it on a t-shirt and showed you guys because I was really proud and excited about it. And then several of you said you would like one as well, but I unfortunately I don't have the bandwidth to go into like t-shirt making. But I learned that you can actually set up a website, hook it up to a print-on-demand company, and then that company, so I'm using one called Printful, but there's others out there that you can explore. Lots of YouTube videos on print-on-demand if you want to get into it. But you go to, like I went to Printful, and you can upload your image, pick like what style t-shirts you like, or sweatshirts, or hoodies, or hats, you name it. You can pick what colors you want to offer, what sizes, all that. And then you hook that to your website. You like connect it to your website, and that allows people to go to your page and order a shirt or hat or whatever it is. And then it gets ordered through Printful. Printful does the whole printing and then fulfillment. So they actually send it to you. So the cool thing about it is you don't have to like order a ton of shirts or something like that and try to sell them after the fact. So you're not like upfront having to spend much money. Oh shoot, that one did not come off very clean. I'm gonna have to spend a little time here. So anyway, as I was saying, it is what it says it is. So it is print on demand. So as it's ordered, they print it and send it out. So I tested it twice, and it took about like a week and a half to come, which is, I think, pretty reasonable. It's not like a next day thing, right? But it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty fun way to get some shirts or hats or whatever made for your community. So anyway, there was a lot of learning going on there. It took me some time to kind of figure that out, and there's definitely some nuances to it. If it's something you're interested in, let me know. I'll do another video on it. But it was pretty cool to figure out how that works and to get that set up. And then I spent, a good amount of time getting the website stood up. And I don't know, that just always takes a lot longer than what I think it would take, because like so much of it's automated now, but I still fiddle around with it quite a lot. So that's kind of where I've put a lot of time in lately. Not really fun things to video. I don't think they'd be fun to watch. So that's why I'm a little bit delayed getting another video out to you guys. But yeah, so go check that out. The other exciting thing is I bought a ticket to go to NCCA, which has been a bucket list, like dream thing for me forever. I've never been. I remember my high school pottery teacher, Mr. Berger, talking about NCCA. It stands for the National Council on Education in Ceramic Arts. I think it's kind of a mouthful. I think it's 50 years. Been going on for 50 years. I've never been. So they have a ton of sessions from like really awesome ceramic artists in demonstrations. There's like an expo floor where you can see all the tools, new tools, kilns, wheels, just all the things you can go and explore. And it's in Salt Lake City this year, which is kind of perfect because it's pretty easy travel for me. So this is going to be a moose mug. I'll put this little mousse decal. And this one I'm actually not going to underglaze. I'm just going to wax resist the mousse and then dip the mug in one glaze. Then that wax resist will have like just the bare clay after it's fired. Doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. So let's see what else is going on. NCCA website. Isn't he cool? This mug, I can tell this is a different clay body that I used to use forever and a day ago. So it's probably been sitting around for a while, and it is just time to get it fired. So if any of you are going to NCCA, please let me know. I would love to meet you or to catch up. I'm going completely by myself. If you see me wandering around, I'll absolutely be wearing my Melting Cones t-shirt. Mr. Moose. Someone asked in a video if you can just use the sticker itself as like your resist, and you absolutely can. The only issue I've had with it is when you peel up the sticker, sometimes it pops off some of the glaze with it, and then you've got to go in and touch up. So I usually do the stencil, and then I'll put wax resist in the image, and then peel the stencil off and dip it, and that works a little bit better for me. I'm gonna do the same thing with this elk mug. The donkey was a request, by the way, from a very dear friend of mine. So if you're wondering why I have a donkey stencil, I'm not sure why she wanted a donkey mug, but my friend wants a donkey mug. I'll make her a donkey mug. Okay, friends, I think this might be where I leave you for today. I made a lot of progress. I'm really happy with everything that we advanced forward in the bisque scene. I will just come in and do the underglaze on these guys and the wax resist on these guys so that I can take the stickers off and they'll be ready to finish glazing at another time. But it was so wonderful having you hang out with me in the studio today. I really appreciate you being here. If I haven't said it before, it absolutely means the world to me. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I absolutely love reading questions and comments, and I try to respond to everyone that I can. So otherwise, go visit my website, check it out, tell me what you think. Order a t-shirt if you want one, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. All right, thanks guys, bye.